everybody. Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 11, playoff edition. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined as always by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Me Show, aka E, aka Lee James, aka Sebastian Drew Easy. See, now it's tripping me up to say it incorrectly. E. I know we're going to get into there's probably we mark this as explicit because we do drop some words every now and again, but I think today might set the record for Fs on this episode. Back from the decision day tie yesterday. How you feeling?
I've been trying to think of how I feel today, how I felt about what happened last night, where we are. I think I'm just like numb. I think I was just numb after they scored on us there at the end. And you carried the torch of rage for us very well. I'm hurting from yesterday for more than one reason, but
yeah, well, we had a good time. That's for sure. I think we had a good time at the game until pretty much that last 8 to 10 minutes. And then we had a good time after, even in our frustration and, like you said, my rage. But I guess there's not much else to say but get into the recap here. And we'll obviously finish with some positives because we're previewing our first playoff match ever.
Yes, sir.
But first of all, let's revisit yesterday, because I do think, while we left with a sour taste in our mouth because of the officiating and what the result ended up being, I think there were a lot of positives on the rewatch. And honestly, in my mind, some questions leading into next week about who maybe I feel like now should start. So I think let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, taking on the Colorado Rapids last night at Q2, or yesterday afternoon. 4 p.m., 4:18 kickoff, and a lot of sun. I think only like the second time I remember there being sun in Section 123, the other being the Miami game earlier this year.
That's right. It was a beautiful day.
It was a fantastic day weather-wise. I do feel for those people who are on the east side of the stadium with the sun in their eyes for the majority of the game. But, it is what it is, and that's why they got those mesh sheets over there. And, again, it wasn't blazing hot.
Correct. That helps for sure.
Couple lineup changes, 3 of them, I believe. First, obviously, we get, or I should say, 3 changes from that normal 11, the 11 that I think we're all used to. There were more than 3 because we get our center back pairing back on the field. Cascante and Gabrielson were back there, Lima and Gallagher. So the back line was intact. Of course, Stuver was back there, but then Johan Valencia gets the start for Danny Pereira. We'll talk about his performance. Musa Gite up top for Maxi Urruti, and then Ethan Finley getting the start for Emiliano Rigoni there on the right. So me personally, when I guess we were together when we saw the lineup, but I thought it was strong. Like, I know on the last episode I said I wanted to see that first 11, so to speak. But if I was going to make any changes, I think the ones that, and it wasn't Coach Wolf, obviously he had the input and the final say, but Davey Arnaud was coaching the team yesterday due to Coach Wolf's suspension. And I think if there were going to be any changes to the lineup, those are the ones that I wanted to see. Because I think those 3 guys, Valencia, Finley, and Gite, are probably the first 3 guys off the bench in a neutral game script. If you started the 11 that we assumed, with Rigoni out there.
Yes.
So getting those guys some time with the first unit, I thought was important. And I thought they each had flashes at different points of their run. So what was your first thought when you saw that lineup come out with those changes?
I liked it. Obviously, we couldn't let Danny touch the field and potentially get suspended. But I mean, I've enjoyed watching Valencia every time he's played, and it was good to see him out there with that physicality for us, getting a little
Mm-hmm.
time. And I think, I mean, you hinted at maybe some lineup changes that you want to see, and maybe we're on the same wavelength there with Valencia. Sitting Rigoni, resting Rigoni, not starting him. I'm fine with that. Finley has played well enough this entire season to, it's not like, it's a giant just kind of dart throw to put him up there by any
Right.
stretch of the imagination. So that was also fine with me. Moose up top, Maxi, much needed rest. Just the intensity that he plays with, his on-ball pressure,
Mm-hmm.
it accumulates, and he is not one of our youngest chickens. Our youngest, springiest chicken.
That works.
Springest chicken.
Those belong to the false nine, I believe. But
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I thought overall, like you said, we played a good solid match, especially in a bit of a difficult situation. The head coach isn't there. The 2 seed is locked up. The other team's not really playing for anything. It's a game at 4:00 on, what is now, I mean, this is the decision day is biggest MLS day of the regular season, right? Like this is
easily after the opener, right?
Yeah.
When everybody is playing on that first weekend. And the fact all these teams are playing at the same time, Eastern Conference at 1:30, Western Conference at 4, and multiple games that had win and you're in type of stakes to them, and other games that had seeding implications or teams trying to finish off and clinch their spot. It was really fun to be in the stadium and not just looking at our phones, and I thought they could have done this more. Put those scores up on the scoreboard, man,
I
because
agree.
there's enough people engaged and know what's going on in the stakes around the league that I would have liked to see that up there almost the whole game. Rotate through those scores.
I agree. It would have been a nice, fun little thing to keep updated. Maybe
Yeah.
they didn't want to take away from the game. I don't know. They don't really show shit on the.
Sure.
I don't even know why we have the big screen.
We'll get to that. Let's go ahead and kind of get into the minutes here, if you will. Somewhat of a good start for Austin, I thought. 4th minute, we've kind of got that 5 up there that I talked about last game that I'm pretty confident in if we have like a 5-on-5 break with
Absolutely.
Driussi, Ring, Finley or Rigoni. I mean, you could put Finley in there, and I think I guess I'll go ahead and say it. I thought we looked more fluid on the right side with Finley in there. And that's not a hot take. That's not an original take. There's been plenty of people that know more about this game than I do that have said that over the past few weeks when Finley comes off the bench. And obviously I've been laser focused on Rigoni and what he's been doing. And I think trying to pull any positives and prop those up when I can. And I still don't hate if he gets the start next week.
Okay.
But man, I think it's so important to get off to a good start and be threatening and get those chances in the box, right? Because we're not a team that really attempts that many shots from outside of the box, much less score from out there.
Yeah. What's that?
I was just gonna say, I mean, the Finley showed it right away here in the 4th minute. But go ahead and continue what your train of thought there.
They have such a contrasting style of play. It's really interesting. Just two completely different elements to what they're trying to do. Finley's really pushing up. He's flying up that side, trying to get, balls sent to him, as opposed to Rigoni, who's very much pass first, trying to get those crosses in. But I do agree. Slow starts have haunted us as of late. And you did make an interesting point during the game, and you said that, does it look like they were shading us, really trying to take away one half of the field? And I'm wondering if that gave a bit of, because was that something you felt was consistent throughout the game? And I'm wondering if that might have led some sort of credence to have that right side look a little better, just because it seemed like there was less focus on that side, less people in a condensed area.
Or just more opportunities for those guys to make things happen over there.
Yeah, space. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have to think about that more. If you had asked me before the pod how I
Hmm.
was feeling, like if we were going to start Finley over Rigoni for the first playoff game in franchise history, I'd be like, well, what? No.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we just
Especially
paid.
with the wavelength we've been on the last month.
Yeah, and it's just like we paid, a bunch of money for this dude. He's obviously more skilled.
Yes, yes. There's no question
As an
about that.
individual player, there's no question there. In regards to how he fits with the system, there is an argument to be made.
Yeah, and I think that's something, again, like you said, that I pointed out. And again, I don't know. I think I also said in the stands to you and Jose, who was there with us, that like I don't know enough about the defensive positioning and
Hmm.
things like that. Like that I could tell you on a basketball court, you see where these guys are, this is what they're trying to do, et cetera. This is how it's going to be countered. Like I don't have that next level, right? To
Yeah,
really break that down, especially live. But
yeah,
it really felt to me that they were shading the ball to the right side of the field and away from where number 7 is. And I don't think they're the only team that's done that, but
no,
that it really stuck out to me during the first
okay,
like 25 minutes. And easier to see that when they're coming towards the north end, right? Um, but so on this 4th minute play, Driussi, who was just, of course, as he always is, he was everywhere last night. And on the rewatch, I know we knew it live, but like he was haunting
yeah,
goals, goals.
he was a man on a mission for sure, and then
Mm-hmm.
his mission was,
40.
uh,
we'll
yeah,
we'll get there.
just
So he had the ball. He found Ring kind of at the top of the box here in the 4th minute, and he swings it out right to Finley. And Finley puts a ball back into the box on the ground, ends up going right back to Ring, who kind of pokes at the ball for a shot, but it goes right
mhm.
to William Yarborough there in the net. But again, threatening early is what we want to see from this team. That's the games we've won, especially at home, are when we see those goals go in early in the
Yeah,
north end. And when we go down early, like obviously we've had some amazing comebacks this season. Obviously, the most recent one being the SKC 4-3, right about 2 months back or something now. But
mhm.
um, I felt like we had a decent start, even though it actually didn't. Nothing, the scoreboard didn't change in the first
Yeah,
half, obviously, or it did for 2 minutes, and then one got overturned. But the Rapids were also not toothless at the beginning of this game. Like they
yeah,
outshot Austin, I think 17-9, but a lot of those shots, and we'll get into some of those kind of underlying stats a little later on. But 6th minute, Rapids set piece here gets cleared back out to Sam Nicholson, and Nicholson tries to blast a shot. Doesn't really get a great foot on it. Um, but it ends up being denied by Stuver, and I believe it went out for a corner that was then cleared
yep,
um, once the corner was taken. And then, like, the game was up and back a little bit. I guess I can say that from our vantage point, right? Sitting on the end line. The game was a little bit back and forth if you're watching from the broadcast angle. But the next best chance comes 25th minute. Free kick on the right side for Austin. And this is the right side, like near midfield, probably 10
yes,
yards over the half line. And Diego Fagundes, as he's known to do,
beautiful.
great ball
Yeah,
into the box and finds the head of Julio Cascante. And Cascante kind of puts it down into the ground as you're supposed to do. And Driussi swoops in and cleans it up, puts it in the back of the net. We throw the confetti.
yep.
We're
You
high
punched
fiving
me.
everybody. They blow the smoke at the other end, and
Hmm.
then we're going to the video board. Or not the
Yep.
video board, we're going to VAR. The video board's not doing shit because we don't show replays in the stadium, and it's
Nope.
ridiculous.
I don't get it. It's strange.
I mean, I understand, like, again, a lot of those things that happen in soccer, like not showing the stoppage time once the game goes over the 45 minutes for each half, like things like that to protect the officials. And, like, these officials, if they were somewhere else, they may have needed some more protection than they
Yeah.
had here at the end of this game. But just like I've said, I know we've said it before. I don't care if it's a good thing for us or it's a bad thing for us in terms of what the replay is showing. I would just like to see it. And Jose, shout out to Jose because, you and I, even when we put our two brains together, we don't have
Mm,
enough brain power to say, hey, how about we just turn on the Austin FC app, which is broadcasting the game,
mm,
and go watch replays that way. So shout out Jose. That's what we'll do going forward. But again,
okay.
not everybody does that.
Yeah.
Or no, thinks to do that. And like being able to show those replays in the stadium, I know there's reasons why they don't. I just hate it as a fan. And as somebody who wants to see those things and make our own judgment while we're sitting there in the stands. Like if the goal should be disallowed, I just want to see it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's disallowed, it's disallowed.
I don't
But
think that's too much to ask.
well, and the interesting thing about this, I don't know how many of these replays you've watched today.
That,
That one was certainly closer than the other ones that we'll get to.
I
But
agree.
I think there was an argument that goal should have counted.
It was, of all the offsides calls we had in that game, it was probably the one that I would say would be the most likely to have been a solid right call.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into those other ones
Yeah.
as well.
Well, we know there's one that's just holy shit. How did they miss? What?
Yeah.
Again, getting ahead of ourselves, letting the frustration creep in here. 42nd minute, Johan Valencia turnover, kind of near the top of the box, and Johan Valencia, the ball falls to Darren. I think it's pronounced Yapi, Yapi. That was number 77, the big tall forward, who I thought had some moments. He looked like he's a younger guy for them.
He does look
I
young.
wasn't familiar with him, so I assume he was just we're out of it. We're going to get this young guy some minutes.
Mm-hmm. You could do that with Kip Keller or something,
Well, he takes a shot and it goes right to Stuver, but he got some pace on that shot.
Stuver played great again, honestly. He had a great game.
And Valencia, it's the first time I really bring up his name during the game recap for a turnover, but I thought, and I guess I'll turn it over to you because you were commenting positively about his performance, particularly in the first half. So what did you think about Johan Valencia getting the start here?
Oh, like I said at the beginning, obviously we couldn't let Danny on the pitch with his whole situation.
Yeah.
But I honestly love what he brings to the team. He's physical. I know that we've talked about in the past how he's coming from a much more physical league where they let stuff go, and at times he can get a little too aggressive or frustrated with the officiating over here. But he's more physically intimidating than both Danny and Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Danny obviously has him beat on pace, but Alex doesn't. That's for sure.
Sure.
So right away I thought he had some nice defense plays there at the back half of the midfield for us that gave us a couple opportunities to get going. And like I said, I just think he brings a physicality, a toughness that we need sometimes.
Yeah. I agree.
And the turnover,
I think too.
But
the turnover wasn't great, but it's cherry picking what I think was the only play that he made in the first half where I really was like, okay, well, there's a negative play, but I felt like you said, like the physicality that he brought and maybe the adjustment. Like no yellow card for Valencia yesterday.
True.
And he played the whole game.
Yeah, that's his first time, right?
I have to think so. I mean, the guy got suspended before he started one match, I think, and was suspended on yellow card accumulation. Like, so I think, to me, that, we've known about his, in the limited minutes he's played, we've known about that physicality, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but he hasn't.
He flashed that shot.
Yeah, a couple of games back, and then he did it again last night, right?
Yeah, it's like, shoot, okay, get one off. One a game. Yeah. We've been asking for one a game.
It's like Danny, right? Get your one.
Yeah,
if you've got the space.
If anything, it makes you more of a threat.
Mm-hmm.
They have to respond to you. They have to react to you. It opens up different things. So he clearly has a shot. He definitely has one. So a lot of positives from him.
So going into the half, 0-0. I think we felt okay about it. I thought, even though we were being outshot, I think it was 10-5 scoring
Possession was,
chances
yeah.
at the half, but it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like we were being outchanced or outplayed at all to me.
I definitely felt like we had been outshot, but most of the shots that they had weren't like any sort of actual threat.
Right.
It was never like, oh, we got away, we got away with one there. The possession was so lopsided in our favor. And actually, I was pretty shocked to see what we ended up at,
Yeah.
possession wise at the end of the game. Especially giving, what transpired, how we got out to a lead there.
Yeah.
So I was anticipating some more long balls over the top. But no, I don't think any team deserved to be in the lead at halftime of that game.
Sure. Well, then the chances really start coming for both teams. Colorado first, 52nd minute, get a corner, obviously down there in the north end, right in front of us. That
Mm-hmm.
corner swung in from the left side, and Yappy again rises up, gets ahead to it, puts it just over the bar. And I thought that was probably that and the
Big.
Zardes chance were
Yeah.
like the most nervous I was. Like, okay, well, like they're actually threatening now. It's not this shot from 7 yards outside the box that's either
Mm-hmm.
right to Stuver or
Yeah.
sails wide. I mean,
I
that
felt like we
was
also had many deflections. I felt like Ruben deflected several shots.
yeah. Well, I think he stopped people in their tracks a couple times, getting a touch on the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more of the same from him, right? Like he got the week off, comes back in rejuvenated,
Yeah.
and is as solid as ever. 10 minutes later, again talking about shots from outside the box. This is 7 yards outside. Now Max Alvis, it was number 8, but I think we were given a little bit of crap too because it did seem like a lot of his shots um, weren't really on target.
Yeah.
But
It was
this
letting them
this
fly
one
though.
was this one was Stuver actually. It was right to Stuver, but there was a lot of pace on it, and Stuver actually knocked it down right in front of him before he really got a handle on it. And one thing I did notice that we didn't get the pleasure of in the stadium. Obviously, we did see Matthew McConaughey on the big board
Hey.
and over there doing the chant with the supporters to start the match. But he was actually on the mic with Healy and Lahoud when that shot happened. So right around the 60th minute, he was in the booth with those guys. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And we've seen him more, I think, this year. Maybe not as much as somebody with the Minister of Culture title should be around the stadium, but he's a busy man, right? So,
He's a busy man for sure.
and he was definitely into it yesterday. Shortly after that, Alvis shot and Stuver save, triple sub for Austin, and here comes Arruti for Gite, then Felipe for Ring, which
Yep.
I think you and I are not always ecstatic to see Felipe come on the field. I think you yesterday, you could correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were like, why? Which I think has been your reaction to Felipe the last couple of times he's come in. And I was a little more timid compared to what I've been like agreeing with you in the past couple of games. And I was, it's the game doesn't mean anything. Get
Yeah.
Alex out of
Yeah.
there.
I think it was just a habit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't fault you for it. And it does. I mean, I'm glad he came on. We'll get to that in a minute. Then Rigoni also comes on for Finley. So a little under a half hour for these guys on the pitch. 4 minutes later.
Husen just has to be completely out of the rotation for this team.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, right? Because he's one of the few free agents we have coming up, and we know that he's being overpaid for the production and that just the minutes that he can find on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
And unless he takes a significant pay cut, I think he's not in the plans going forward. And I thank him for all the hard work and persevering through his injuries. But with Musa's recent form, him getting on the field yesterday, getting the start, I think he's very clearly the backup going into next week. And I think we're not going to, he's going the way of Kip Keller. And I don't think we're going to see him again. maybe a bench appearance. I wouldn't hate, because we've seen Wolf go double striker before when we're
Mm-hmm.
down. So I don't think I would hate having both Musa and Husin available, just in case we need one of those comebacks. Knock on wood, hopefully
Yeah.
not this weekend at least.
Also, I
Go ahead.
don't know if I have any statistical information to back this up, but I feel
Uh-huh.
like he is
It's our
gonna
style.
be. What's that?
I said that's our style.
Oh,
Making claims, putting out takes, look at the stats after.
I feel like I would be confident in him in a penalty shootout.
Husin.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree.
I feel like he would be nice to have in there.
Yeah, so maybe that's a strategic sub,
Yeah.
because we're, again,
Exactly.
we may see our first ever Austin FC penalty shootout if this game goes the full 2 hours, and nobody can get out ahead. So 69th minute was very nice
Hey.
time for a double sub for the Rapids.
Hey.
Wasn't great, I thought, for our chances, because first Michael Barrios comes on for Felipe Gutierrez, but then Jassy Zardes makes his I think second appearance at Q2. I think he scored with the U.S. men against Qatar a couple years ago. But Zardes on, and
Artists.
with the game tied, that was where I was like, oh god, like now Zardes is here and he just needs an inch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I know the guy's not, like, he's on the downside of his career, but
Awesome.
Still,
yeah, the dude's been awesome for a long time, and he definitely has a penchant for scoring goals, knowing how to score goals, knowing how to facilitate scoring goals. So I agree when he came on, because clearly the other dude that they had, Yappy, he was raw. Yeah. You could tell he was. Yeah. I mean, he was a physical specimen out there. He was large. He was long. The way he moved. Mm-hmm. So obviously, they were giving that kid time. But sure, once Zardes came on, I was like, shit.
Mm-hmm. It didn't take long for him to make an impact and kind of prove us right in being nervous that he came on. But before that 71st minute, Nick Lima has it right on the outside of the box, finds Felipe, who takes a shot right from the edge of the 18 and just kind of mishits it, and not a threat at all. And I think maybe you were just like, well, yep, good job, Felipe.
No, stop. Felipe is putting words in my mouth, man.
Maybe I said that. I don't know.
Felipe, that was me.
2 minutes later, Rapids get a breakaway. And Barrios, who had come on for Gutierrez there on the left, finds Zardes on the breakaway. And Zardes rockets a shot that goes off the post and out. But again, like, that was like, okay, like, Zardes has announced his presence here, and let's find him every time that they're coming towards the north end. Because to me, he was just very clearly the biggest threat out there wearing white last night, particularly in the last 30 minutes, to be sure.
Unless the threat is physical violence, in which case it's Abubakar.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're also right about that. 77th minute. Fagundes coming down the left side, kind of overlaps with the ball, overlaps John Gallagher, and John Gallagher almost like sets a screen. And I don't remember which Colorado player it was, but the Colorado player just flops. And Diego takes one more dribble into the box and lets one rip. And it's kind of right at Yarbrough, but he had so much pace on it that Yarbrough couldn't handle it. Yep. And it kind of just dribbles out in front of the net. Maxi's right there, tries to follow it up, but Keegan Rosenberry kind of beats him to it. It kind of just gets jostled around right back into Yarbrough's arms there. But there was definitely a chance for Maxi to get on the score sheet there. Yeah. And that was something we were talking about, that, like, it would have been really nice for Maxi, as somebody that we know has been hot and cold, not just this season, but from what we know about him, that's kind of how he's been in his career. So to see him find the back of the net would have been really nice heading into the playoffs. But I thought Maxi, as a whole on the night, was really great in his limited amount of time. I thought the high press, not surprisingly, was a lot more effective and threatening with him back there compared to Gite. And again, not a surprise. We know that that's to me, one of the main reasons why he has that starting spot is his work rate.
Absolutely.
And again, continuing to test Yarbrough back there. Right after that, Rapids bring on Jonathan Lewis for Sam Nicholson, and then Diego Rubio gets a yellow card in the 80th minute, 82nd. 79th minute. Rubio got the yellow card in the 80th minute after this play because in the 79th minute, there's a high press, like we were talking about, from Driussi, Maxi, and Felipe. Just kind of this three-headed monster chasing the ball around, putting pressure in the passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
And Driussi pressures the ball right at the top of their box. And that causes an errant pass that Felipe intercepts. And the defender just tries to chase him down. And in 2 or 3 steps, Felipe gets positioned, gets run over in the box, and the penalty is awarded. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody, again, at Q2, get the ball and put it on the spot faster than Driussi did. He was so ready.
Yeah.
And really easily converted that. He's been fantastic on PKs this year. And
He's been unstoppable.
Yeah. So 1-0. And then, like, I think the next play, like, Colorado possesses the ball off the restart. Another errant pass off the high press. It falls to Driussi, who has a nice little flick onto Maxi. And then he plays a great ball to Diego. And he scores. And, the roof comes off the place, 2-0. This game is over. And they call offside.
Yes, they did.
And it's wild to have the 2 worst calls of the season happen within 10 minutes of each other, or non-calls.
Yeah,
in the case of the
unbelievable.
I mean, you've seen the offside play, right? You've seen this. It's not even close.
Nope, it's not even close. I was perusing.
How do you have video assisted review and that goal is not counted? That's not overturned.
I don't know. I was on Reddit looking at some stuff, and someone brought up how the European leagues use like 24 cameras. MLS uses about 8 or something like that, and I have no idea if that's true or not. I don't know if we're shooting stuff on handheld video camcorders. But yeah, it was awful. And it's like, I don't want to be hyperbolic and be like, yo, I saw the 2 worst calls I've ever seen in my life in this game. And I should say in my soccer fandom life.
Yes.
But yeah, they were just inexcusable. And this is kind of the moment where I feel like there was a shift. We were frustrated. Those refs were now a little bit more on their heels. And then a worse non-call happens.
We can just
inexcusable.
We can go ahead and just skip to that. I guess I shouldn't skip over 89th minute. Double sub for Colorado, another double sub for Austin. Owen Wolf comes on for Diego Fagundes, Johan Romagna on for Julio Cascante. And again, at this point, it's celebratory. We're up 1-0.
Yeah.
There's 5-6 minutes left in the game, depending on how much stoppage time they're going to add. I believe it ended up being 3 minutes.
And
in the 91st, I honestly don't remember now who or how the ball got played kind of into their half.
Yes, I don't.
But it's Lalas Abubakar, who I still have a lot of respect for.
I love Abubakar.
He's a really good player.
He's awesome.
And he didn't do anything wrong. It was a foul.
Exactly.
And he got away with it. But okay, so anyways, these 2 guys are running. I would say like kind of side by side, but probably 2-3 feet apart.
Pretty much parallel. Yeah.
And we had a great angle, I thought, in the north end, and the replay to me confirmed that, because you could see them from our angle running side by side. And I know the supporter section had the same angle, right, being on the other end line.
Coming down.
And Abubakar, you see on the replay too that Abubakar looks straight at him.
Yeah.
And then diverts his run and knocks Driussi to the ground. And
he even
again, I'm not.
extended his off arm.
Yes,
He even
him.
extends his arm.
Yeah,
which is like it's like the one thing that they're like, yeah, arm extension, you get out, you knock, like it was so clearly intentional and premeditated. He had to foul him. He had to foul him there.
It's a
he
goal.
wasn't going to beat him.
Yes,
and he fouled him.
And I think I was talking to Kevin Morris last night, or responding to one of his tweets, right, about that play. I think he may have quote tweeted Tim Thompson's clip of the replay, but even if it's not a red, which I'm biased, but I thought it should be. We've gotten reds for the same thing before.
I know. Yeah, even if it wasn't a red, it's
still a foul.
It's clearly.
And then you walking the entire team up there with 2 minutes to go, you're going to bleed out the rest of stoppage time.
Absolutely.
So the no call was just, again, it wasn't the only, they had multiple chances after that they shouldn't have had. 92nd minute. Yeah. Again, that no call turns into a Rapids chance, and it gets saved by Stuver. And then on the rebound, Ruben has to kick it out for a corner just to clear it. Yep. And then 93rd minute, that corner comes. Again, it was credit to Colorado because the set piece was beautiful.
Yep.
I mean, Abubakar starts at the top of the box. On the kick, he runs to the back post, probably outside the 6-yard or right on the edge of the 6-yard box there. Mm-hmm. It comes right to his head, and he pops it right back in front of the net. And Diego Rubio, I think Ruben Gabrielson wanted a foul because I think he thought that Rubio used him as leverage.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that so much live or on the replay. But Rubio just outjumps everybody, regardless of what he did. Outjumps everybody, gets his head to it, and there's nothing Stuver can do. Nope. Ties it up, and of course, right when we restart, the game's over because there was only 3 minutes of stoppage time. So, yeah, man. I mean, one thing, obviously frustrated. Right after, and you see more of this up close on the broadcast, Valencia got right in Diego Rubio's face.
Yep.
Which I don't think we really saw live. I was watching the officials and how many people were rushing them. Maxey started clapping at the ref as soon as the whistle went.
Mm-hmm.
Ruben rushed the ref. Rubio did a cry. Is that why Valencia got in his face?
I can't remember if he did it to Felipe first, but he did. He definitely hit a couple people with the crying gesture.
And so the one thing that stood out to me on the rewatch was being able to hear the commentary from Healy and Lahoud, especially after that foul in the minutes that came after and the goal. Adrian Healy, I'll say two things. Number one, he's spot on. He said it was atrocious. I mean, the thing that really stood out to me about that, though, and I may just be putting the tinfoil hat on here, but I don't think somebody like Healy who calls – I mean, I think he was calling the Barca game for ESPN the other day.
Yeah, he's not talking out of pocket. He's not Skip fucking Bayless saying crazy shit.
Right. But, I also don't think he's somebody – he said it himself, and a lot of broadcasters are very, very good at this, about giving the officials the benefit of the doubt and not going against the officials that are employed by the league. Yeah, too much, right? You can disagree, especially
for sure.
As a home team announcer, but he was all in.
Yeah.
And it made me think, is he not getting hired back by the MLS next year? So he doesn't give a fuck.
Oh, shit.
Well, because with the Apple TV deal, right, the local broadcasts are going away. And so Apple or MLS would have to hire him back as a broadcaster. And again, I don't think it would just be for one team. I think he would be on some sort of rotation.
Yeah.
But that just made me think. And again, I think that I may just be putting the tinfoil hat on, but if he knows he's not coming back to this league, at least next year, that he just let loose yesterday. And I bet it felt good as a guy who can't when there's a bad call.
Yeah. I don't know if he has that much hate in his heart like us.
Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to get a couple rounds off there, or he was just genuinely disgusted with what has to be one of the worst non-calls he has seen.
And if he's saying that,
Yeah, then we are
you know,
vindicated. Thank you, Adrian.
XG, everybody's favorite stat until it's not. 1.56 for Austin to 1.24 for Colorado. And I'll echo our buddy Kevin Morris here. He was like 1.24 XG for Colorado on 17 shots.
Yeah.
That's bad. Again, highlighting the fact that they were taking all these cracks from way outside the box.
Yeah, they were having fun.
Yeah.
They were
out there
trying to
just
get a little
playing.
highlight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
So
why
Austin,
I felt like that
go
first
ahead.
half was like, even with the 17 shots, I was like, well, damn, it took you one absolutely horrible, atrocious non-call and an extra time, header to get one goal off your 17 shots there. And I feel like I said, I think Ruben really just blocked any of them or diverted them or just made them so they couldn't even be like a relevant kind of strike.
So Austin FC ends the regular season 16-8 and 1056 points, 65 goals scored, 49 against, so plus 16 in that goal differential category. That's a 25-point improvement off of last year's mark. Yeah. Which ties the MLS record.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
For year 1 to year 2 improvement for a expansion franchise. Went from 9 wins to 16 wins, 35 goals to 65 goals, and down from 21 losses to just 10 on the season. So again, now that we've said we try to have perspective, I think on every episode so far, now we can really sit back and compare the two seasons fully. And I mean, what would you give, right, the letter grade, so to speak? What would you give this season for Austin FC?
An A.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had been doing this pod, before the season started and we were like, hey, we're going to score 65 goals this year. We're only going to have 10 losses. You know what I mean? People would have thought we were crazy.
Yeah. Well, they already do, but.
Yeah. Well,
Point well taken.
So, yeah, I mean, just also a testament to the whole squad. For
top to bottom.
Yeah, just absolutely. To coach, their whole staff, to stay the course, even when the course was just, we were running into icebergs and getting our ass beat by better teams. I will say now that it looks much more so like the league has adjusted to what we were doing, or at least not getting caught off guard.
Sure.
By who we are, assuming we're going to come in and, we're the same team we were last year, which is just not the case. And like you said, when our attacking five, we can put them up against anybody that in the league. Like,
yeah,
it's a great attacking five, and you have the best player in the league on the team. So it was a tremendous season. I mean, just if we go back to the beginning, the absolute thrashings we were putting on people at home, just these comeback wins that we were pulling out. I mean, just an absolutely incredible season with a lot of, highlights, a lot of momentous plays. It was great.
Yeah, I think that, right, like, and we'll have plenty of time whenever this season ends to look back on the season. I think we can look back on the season in segments as a whole, game by game, and just really have, no matter how this ends, right? Like, this season is always going to hold a special place in our Austin FC fandom hearts, no matter how it finishes, just because of there were so many more ups than downs, and we expected more than last season. But to your point, and I think I'll agree, I might even say, I think I say A+, man. Like,
I think I was just saving the plus for maybe a playoff win, or I don't know, but yeah,
sure.
It's definitely we're at the top of the class in terms of what you could have had.
I know we said this to each other at the beginning of the season, is you make playoffs and everything after that is house money. So it's house money
Hmm.
now. And I
Yeah.
don't think the grade can change. If we
Okay.
can add pluses, maybe you get a plus for every playoff win, right?
Okay. Yeah. Shit.
Um,
No matter how you get them.
and I think maybe the grade is different if we're not grading the team and just comparing it to last year, if that makes sense, right? And like this season as a whole, just compared to all MLS seasons that happened this year and in the past, like maybe the grade is a little bit different. We could be a little bit more picky.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I'm not that today for me is not the day to do that. So
No,
um,
I'm with you.
before we get into that first round preview, I want to do like a little award bracket, just like inside the team here.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and we'll start with MVP. And I think we should go a little bit deeper than one player here because I think both of us are hands down unanimous
Yeah.
and twice on
I got
Sundays
my
that it's
two.
Driussi.
I got my one and my two. A lot.
Who's your two then?
Ruben.
Gabrielson.
Yeah.
Okay. State the case.
Um, make the case.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
why him over Stuver
yeah.
or
I mean, Stuver came to mind. Just what Ruben brought to our young defensive unit, and Cascante is not young, but in regard to playing professional games, he's relatively young
mm-hmm.
for MLS level. He never really wavered too. He didn't really ever he never like threw those dudes under the bus. I remember distinctly that one game, I can't recall who it was against, where Julio just absolutely massacres going to pick up. They have miscommunication. Julio just completely goes the wrong way and
Seattle
throws his hands up, But what he's done from the back for us, I don't think it can be understated. Again, he also deflected a lot of shots. I don't know if we can see that sort of stat for him. I mean, one time it backfired and he scored an own goal on us, but he was consistently, yeah. But like he had a few of those yesterday as well, where these balls were ricocheting off of his back. I mean, so after Gabrielson, I would say Stuver. But that's also really close. I just felt like we were consistently a more stout kind of defense when Ruben was at his best, and with what he was working with back there, I just thought he was great for us all season long.
Yeah, I like it. And he certainly was in consideration for me too for kind of the number two in this MVP spot. And I think we've given him a lot of praise over the last month.
Mm-hmm.
Comparisons to Beasler, and I think you don't need to watch too much Austin FC to know that he is the rock of that back four. And the extra time guys, right? They did like a best of 11 type of thing last week on their pod.
Oh, cool.
And they did 5 teams, and it was like different formations, and so it wasn't like totally like first team, second team, third team, etc. But just kind of like, I guess, your top 50 players almost in the league, 50 top 55 players. Ruben made 15. So
nice.
Some recognition there from, the national pundits around the league. So he's certainly being recognized.
Rightfully so.
Mine would be Diego. But there's such a good case for Ruben, like you just stated, for Stuver. Continuing what kind of proved that his first season wasn't a fluke, right?
Yeah,
because he had never been a starter in this league, over any sort of sustained period of time. But yeah, for me, it's Diego.
Sure.
Obviously, was.
Did he finish league leader in assists?
Fuck, man, which stats are we looking at? Be honest,
that's right.
I don't know. I think what a better comparison is for him. Again, 12th season in this league, 12 assists, career high. And this is FB Ref, so that I'm looking at right now. So this does not count the hockey assists. So I think he's like 15 or 16 when you count those.
Okay.
But 6 goals, 12 assists that are direct assists,
Yep.
which is a career high. His previous career high was 8 assists back in 2018. This guy's 26, 27 years old right now. Like, he's still
Yeah.
got a lot of soccer left, and
Absolutely.
I feel like he's been rejuvenated at Austin, playing next to Driussi, playing
Hmm.
next to Ring, all these guys, and athletically, 26, 27 years old, typically, stereotypically, is your athletic prime for male athletes. So I think this is something we can expect. Maybe not, another 12 direct assists or 16 total MLS
Hmm.
assists, whatever, however you want to count it. But like, we're going to get this type of top quality from him, I think, at least for a few years to come. And so I hope the extension comes for him, and I hope he's paid what he should be.
I agree.
Um,
And I
and
have
that is
no,
like a star in this league.
yeah, I have no
Um,
arguments with him being your number two there. And it's just clear.
so
They have such a joy when they play together too, him and Seba.
they really do. They
They have
really
fun.
do.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the year. I mean, you just gave Ruben second MVP, so like that's probably and that was my answer too. Outside of that, I think technically soccer wise, I think Nick Lima is probably the choice outside of Ruben. But Julio was so good for the first two
Hmm.
thirds of the season before I think the cracks really started to show, and I think he's been picking himself back up
I agree.
out of that rut a little bit over the last 3 or 4 games. But um, I'm gonna give my nod again, somewhat like the MVP. I think Gabrielson is the clear answer. So I'm gonna go off the board and give my nod to John Gallagher, who, lest we forget,
Yeah.
was not a fullback
No.
coming
Yeah.
into this year
Yeah.
and played all but like 30 minutes. There was one game where we were behind and we brought in fullback subs and pushed him up. I don't
Yeah.
remember what game that was, but outside of that like half hour, this dude played the entire season at left back and
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. Was more than serviceable.
Average at worst, I think, right?
Serviceable.
Um,
Yeah.
and we've said it for a long time, but he continues just to be our utility man.
Hmm.
Wherever you ask him to line up, you want him to change position, learn a new spot,
Yeah.
like match up against Gareth Bale,
Yeah.
whatever.
Absolutely.
Like this
That's a highlight
guy,
we'll always have. Johnny
and
G shutting down Gareth Bale.
dude, yeah. So he gets my nod. What do
Okay.
you, obviously Ruben, but outside of Ruben, who would you give your spot to?
I like that. I like the Johnny G call there.
Mm-hmm.
I, I mean, I feel like Lima's kind of in the same boat with Johnny there. He did a lot of things that we asked him to do, and he just played his role, did his job.
Yeah,
He consistently played hard.
mm-hmm.
I felt also that he had plenty of games where he elevated his play
Mm-hmm.
to match the level of competition he was up against. So it's tough. I think just for the sake of changing it up and being able to shout out, as many guys as we can,
Yeah,
I think I'll give the nod to Nick there, who I thought same kind of situation, hit a bit of a wall there in the middle of the
yeah,
season.
yeah,
But he again has been tracking forward, upwards, trending upwards for us as
yeah.
of late, and that's a great thing. And those dudes just seem like really class act guys, both of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
And to be honest, man, like the vast majority of this team, if not everybody, at least that has any sort of public persona off the field, we got a great group of guys, is what it seems like to me. And that's a nod to Claudio Reyna,
Yeah,
right?
for
And
sure.
we have one big high profile guy that is no longer with the club for that reason or for
Correct.
reasons.
Yeah.
That's like the one black mark, though, right? So, and
For sure.
according to them, they had no idea. So, let's get to the next one here. We'll go newcomer of the year. So somebody who was not with the club last year and showed up this year and made a great impression, huge impression on the team, on the field, off the field, to you as a fan. I think again, the easy answer and probably the correct answer is Ruben Gabrielson, so we will eliminate him from contention in this category as well. Who would be your newcomer of the year?
I'm going to let you take this one first. I'm going to give this a little more thought here.
Sure.
If you got one locked and loaded in the barrel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to bring up almost everybody who played a role on this team coming in this year. I mean, Maxi Urruti changed our ability to execute that high press with effectiveness, with the tenacity to do it, sometimes himself for 90 minutes, but always putting in the 65, 70, however many minutes were asked of him. The dude never stops. Never stops.
Great motor.
Does not seem to bitch when his shot's not going in, when he's not getting the chances on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, he may show frustration like any player would, but he never let himself become a distraction with that frustration. He never showed it to a point where I was like, well, shit, Maxi is not looking happy.
Yeah, he's frustrated. Yep, not getting the chances for sure.
And obviously Valencia, slow start, a little bit of a rough start, I think, for him. And not just because of adjusting to the league, but because I think we brought him in. We thought he was going to start or win that job at the 6. And Danny Pereira takes a step and keeps him off the field more than he probably thought, and certainly we did. So, I don't think I can give Valencia the nod, but you think about Felipe and what he did for this team's mentality in the locker room, on the field. But we give him a lot of shit because, again, we talk about guys that are older on this team or maybe a little bit on the decline, right? What's that?
He's our Pat Bev.
Absolutely. He's the down and dirty, grit and grind, gonna get in your face, gonna, waste a little time, stir things up.
And every time Pat Bev shoots a 3 this year for the Lakers, I'm gonna probably be just like, why?
Who else? Kip Keller was there. Obviously, we did not see a lot of Kip. 318 minutes for the young center back on the year. Emiliano Rigoni, 283 minutes in the 7 matches that he's appeared in. I don't think I can rightfully give him the nod, nor Washington Caruso, of course. So it's Maxi Urruti for me because we can't give it to Ruben.
It'll be Maxi for me as well, with Valencia being probably my second choice there.
Okay.
I guess that's just optimistic kind of thinking about what I think he can bring to the squad full time with more time in a full season.
Yeah. Well, we might be sitting here 2 or 3 weeks from now and saying it is Valencia, right? Like if he can get some minutes here in the postseason.
It's Maxi for me, and for the points you brought up. The guy never quits. He never stops.
Yeah.
He's never complaining. And he just
9 goals too. Second
absolutely. He just brought a whole different element to the squad with his constant on the ball pressure.
It is funny that he played almost 2,200 minutes this year. Up front, where all the goals are being scored, no assists. No assists for Maxi. So, but yeah, absolutely the newcomer of the year for us to this team. Again, with Ruben removed because he's in the conversation for all these damn awards. Maybe we can give Valencia some love here. Let's talk again. I don't know what this is called in soccer. You call it a 6th man in basketball. If you live in College Station, you would call it the 12th man. Bench player of the year, right? Substitute of the year. I think everybody gets the point here. So who would you give the nod? Again, almost everybody on this team outside of, I think, Redis and Caruso and Stroud got at least one start this year. So not everybody's just a pure bench player, but the main 11 and everybody else. So who would be your bench player of the year?
Probably got to go Moose.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of just the hat trick game, he had 2 goals for us that were just absolutely huge.
He
And
did.
like that's what you need from, I guess, what it's not 6 man, so that's what we need from him.
Right. He's a
He's a
super sub.
he's a substitute striker, and we need that dude to go score some goals and get
Mm-hmm.
us some chances. So for me, it's the Moose, the big body.
Yeah,
He's
4
actually
goals,
really.
two.
I looked up his like information. He's really not that big.
None of them are.
He's like
Dude,
4 inches. He's like
you
four
are
inches
like
shorter than me.
yeah, you're like as big as Ruben.
I looked that up too. I'm bigger than him.
Yeah. I told
I
you
think
they're small, man.
yeah,
Soccer
they're
players.
shit. Dunk on these fools.
um Mine, I'm gonna go maybe a little bit off the board here again.
Okay.
Give me
Tinfoil.
Owen Wolf.
Oh,
Give me Owen Wolf
I like
for
that. Yeah.
sub of the year because I don't think any of us expected much, if anything, out of him. Again, the kid's 17. We saw him for very limited minutes last year, certainly in the friendly
Mm-hmm.
against Tigres. Had the assist to Rodney Redis, who, again, can only score in friendlies. But Owen Wolf, I mean, 11 starts on the year, including starting at LAFC, which until last night when Nashville got the win out there at the bank, that was the only team to come in and beat LAFC was Austin, again,
Wow.
until last night. So that game has always stood out to me. There was a stretch there around that LAFC away match where he started 4 or 5 games in a row, and I thought every single time, maybe he's not standing out as like, oh, Owen Wolf is fueling the attack. He did these 3 plays that really, changed the game. But there was never a time, at least in the first half of the season, where when he was playing the most minutes, there was never a time where I thought Owen Wolf lost us that game or that was his fault for that goal.
Yep.
And to be that young, to have the cloud of coach's son hanging over you from last year.
For sure.
Plenty of nepotism calls last year.
Absolutely.
Give me Owen Wolf, 913 minutes this year, 11 starts, 24 total appearances. And he got an assist on the board to go along with his 1 yellow card. I just think the future is extremely bright for him.
I totally agree with that. That's a great call too. And I think one of the most impressive things about him and what really pays a lot of credence to your point there was that when we put him in, you were never like, well, that guy's not going to know what to do there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's not going to know how to play this properly. He might not do anything that jumps off the page that's going to be, on the score sheet. But he did his job every single time and he did it really well. And definitely like that call by you.
Well, then let's get in, and not to cast a negative light on the end of this little segment, but let's talk biggest letdown. And I don't think it has to be a negative on a player like, oh, this guy was shit this year, or what, it could be if you want to. But I don't, it doesn't have to be. It could be, you're let down by Josh Wolf because he didn't sub Kip Keller enough, or, whatever you want to say there. But I'll go ahead and start this one off. And for me, man, like, the biggest disappointment, and I don't even know if this can be like a letdown or a disappointment, because like there's the low-hanging fruit of Rodney Redis, right?
For sure.
I'm going to say Alex Ring. And I'm not trying to say that I'm dissatisfied with his play at all this year, because I'm not. I'm a little dissatisfied with his offensive output and what I thought was the lack of ability to take a step up in that area.
Yep.
I mean, he's almost 32. So again, he is what he is at this point, and maybe that's just short-sighted by me thinking that he was going to have that market improvement on that end. But 4 goals and 3 assists from a guy who I think at the beginning of the season, right, the whole thing was, first of all, is a DP.
Yep.
And in this league, I don't think his offensive your DPs need to be goal scorers, in my opinion. They need to be offensive threats. And he's a big part of, like I said, that five-man offensive unit includes him. But it's not so much for his scoring ability. And I thought we were going to see a little bit more of that this year. After last year, he had a couple times when he would really go on the attack and looked more threatening and more under control, I thought, on his shots last season than he did this season. So I think, to me, I would love for that DP tag to come off in the offseason and bring somebody else in and buy him down. Well, again, I don't know the cap backflips or cartwheels or whatever you have to do to make that work.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we should take the DP tag away because he's been bad, because he has not been bad. He's the captain of our team.
Yeah.
But the team can be so much better if we can use that DP tag on somebody else. And again, I don't know if maybe it's because we have 3 U22 guys that we need to use Alex Ring in a DP spot to make some sort of money work. On the surface, that's just my feeling. So a little bit let down that we only saw the output we did from Ring. Because some of those goals that he scored, man, like, shouldn't have been goals. Like the first one, Cincinnati, he whiffs that shot. And because he whiffs, it goes over Alec Kahn, who was not long for that keeper spot in Cincinnati. But that's my pick. Where are you headed?
I think that's a pretty solid pick. He didn't add another wrinkle to his game for sure.
Yeah.
I think mine is just the whole Manchita situation.
Yeah, that's very fair.
I don't think the knock on him. He didn't even get a chance,
right,
to show what he had. Obviously, I don't get to see him in practice and anything like that. But that whole situation was frustrating. It was also frustrating with the Kip situation because they both deserved minutes on a team that's not necessarily, we're not bursting at the seams with talent here. You can get these guys some time. Obviously I've been singing Valencia praise for a minute here. To me, that's the progression, is that Valencia takes that job in the back of the midfield there, and then we try to move Danny somewhere else. Like unleash Danny
8 there.
Yeah.
Right. So Danny takes that Ring spot.
Exactly. We put Danny there, and then we let Johan go in the back there. And I think it gives us not only a little more consistency in the back, especially with Danny's sometimes egregious turnovers and his lack of decision-making in those situations, not knowing when to take space, not knowing when to not take space, but not to hark back on that. Because I also agree, I like you said, Alex Ring is who he is. And at the end of the day, he's an undersized, defensive-minded, limited, offensively, now 32-year-old. Yeah. So it is what it is. I think, like you said, he's our captain. He should be our captain. He's a fierce competitor. He stands up for our guys. From all accounts, it seems like he's also a really good guy.
Yeah.
Who has his players back.
Has the respect of the locker room too.
For sure. And probably respect around the league as well.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the Manchita situation. We were so excited for that. That was like, he's before Rigoni. We're like, we're bring him in. Let's go. We got some speed now. Let's let this guy loose. Yeah. And then it was one of those, he was on the injury report. Then he wasn't on the injury report.
Yeah.
We got him on the bench.
Did you hear that he had a little procedure on his abdomen, and that's why he's been out? So what I think happened there is some sort of like minor hernia situation.
Okay. Those are not good.
Which is unfortunate, but it doesn't mean that it's still not a letdown. Like the situation as a whole, I completely agree.
For sure.
And the positive about Alex Ring and any letdown that I may be feeling is that he's still really, really fucking good at the things that he's good at.
Correct.
And we need all of that. And he continues to do it at a high level. And the positive with Manchita is that we didn't pay anything for him. And whatever happens next, it doesn't cost us anything. Unless we bring him back. And we could probably bring him back pretty darn cheap after, not. I mean, the fact that the the unintentional bicycle kick assist was the height of the Manchita experiment. Like, if you would have told us then that nothing else would happen, be like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, right.
So,
Shit.
well, so there you go. Appreciate everybody bearing with us there as we kind of, indulge ourselves in some award brackets. I mean, and we're going to really be in our element to start next year when we can do prediction shows and over-unders and
Yeah.
all that good
Absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely. This is our first season too. We're doing our first Austin FC iteration of
Well,
of
we came
ourselves.
in like Rigoni, right? Early August. So you got to
We
give
gotta
us an
sign
off
some
season
sort of-
to adjust.
We got to sign some sort of Seba to carry this pod.
Right?
We got to get a third in here, somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. We'll see what the GM can do in the off season. Already about 70 minutes in here, so we'll make the first round preview pretty quick here. We know this RSL team very well. So does Musa Jite. And I know that you'll get plenty of preview content from the other fantastic Austin FC centric pods that are out there this week. The one thing, and I don't think I showed you this, but I was working on Saturday, and I saw on Twitter that Diego Fagundes was live on his Twitch playing some video games. So I tuned in while I was working, just had it kind of on in the background.
Cool.
And what I heard him say was, and I clipped this and put this on our Twitter, I think actually Phoenix was in the comments talking to Diego while he was playing, and he asked him who he wanted to face in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And Diego said, it doesn't matter who we play, right?
Yeah.
We got to play who's in front of us,
course.
which is the standard line, but it's no fun.
If you're a player,
And so he gave us a little fun.
Okay.
And he said right after that, he goes, you know who I actually do want to play is Vancouver, because those guys were talking a lot of shit last week.
Yes, they were.
And then he, of course, circles back right away and was like, yeah, but it does, I don't care. We play, but he let us in just for a second. And so I was really hoping for Vancouver, but Vancouver taken down by Minnesota United. RSL beats the Portland Timbers 3-1 at home. Obviously, RSL very, very good at home in the elevation. Not as good on the road, to be sure. Checking out the table, RSL on the road this season. 3 wins, 6 draws, 8 losses, a negative 14 goal differential. Of course, 3 of those coming at the hands of Musa Jite. They were not in good form at all coming into yesterday. A draw, 3 losses, another draw and a loss before their win before yesterday. Their most recent win was August 31st. So,
wow. And they're banged up,
on the
right?
surface. What's that?
They're pretty banged up, right?
Yeah, I think they still have those guys out. I would have to look up Bobby Wood and Krylock, but even with those guys, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good coming into this match. I don't know about you.
I feel great. Well, I mean, I'd feel much better if I was going to be able to be there.
We haven't even talked about that yet. Tell the people why you're missing the first playoff game ever.
I'm in a wedding.
Is that the same one as the 6-day bachelor party you just came back from?
That's the one. I'll be up there again. Another 6 days. I might just buy a new place up there. How much are you paying me now for this pod? 13 Doge every 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm just paying you in Dos Equis at the stadium.
Damn, I'm actually getting paid pretty good then.
History between these two teams. 2 wins, 2 losses for Austin FC. Both losses on the road. Both red card games for Austin FC. Julio Cascante last year, Danny Pereira earlier this year. Again, RSL beat Portland 3-1 on decision day to clinch the 7-seed goals from Jefferson Savarino, Bodie Davis, and my favorite name on the team, Rubio Rubin.
Ooh,
again, Musa with that hat trick against them 3 weeks ago, and looking at the 538 model, 538 giving Austin a 68% chance to advance from the first round. So not bad. Not bad odds at all there. I guess we don't really have much else to talk about except our traditional lineup predictions and desires, and then our score predictions. So I'll toss it to you first. Who do you think starts here? And or who do you want to see start?
We're gonna have Maxi. We're gonna have Diego. Obviously, Seba. I think Danny's back in. The Rigoni Finley situation is really the decision that I think needs to be made. Who's going to play there? And I personally still would like to see Rigoni because I do think that even though the results weren't there, with his play and his contribution, that we can't necessarily just judge him based on the lack of outcome. I thought he did a lot of things right. I mean, he created multiple really great chances for us that we just didn't happen to score
in multiple games.
Yeah, of course. So I personally would like to see him. It seems that the conversation that's building that's pro Finley, I've missed out on. So I don't know if there's something there that's building with the staff too. But I think it's going to be Rigoni, Alex, and then we'll have Johnny, Nick, excuse me, Nick flanking. Obviously, our two big guys in the middle there, Ruben and Julio. And I see Austin FC winning this game 3-1.
3-1. I like it. I don't really care how we get there. I just want to have more goals than RSO at the end of the day. I think I'm right with you. I think that it's going to be that version of the 11 that we all know and love at this point. But I do think I want Rigoni to start from an emotional standpoint, not just because I'm dug in on that fucking take that he should start every game going forward. But I want it to work out, and I want it to work out now because I want him to, again, win the cup or not, I want him to have some positive momentum on the score sheet, goals or assists, before the year is done.
Yeah. All his friends are scoring.
Yeah. But I do think that yesterday convinced me that at least for this first match, that Ethan Finley is the one to start. And maybe it's 55 minutes. Maybe it's 60 minutes.
Okay.
But
Let me ask you this. Oh, sorry.
Sure. No, go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Let's say we go with Finley and we don't get that early goal that we want. And now it's 0-0 in the 60th. I would feel much better about having Rigoni be subbed out on the 60th 0-0 and bringing Finley in as opposed to the other way around.
Okay. That's interesting.
I just think, again, they're contrasting styles of play. The way Finley just uses more of his just raw speed to get shit done. Whereas as with Rigoni, it's, it's class. He's beating people. He's whipping these balls in. So would you feel better about being 0-0 at the 60th minute and bringing in Rigoni or Finley?
Man, I don't know. I just don't know because there's no game I don't think we can point to where it's like, okay, like Rigoni for sure has to start. Or Rigoni is great off the bench. Look at what he did here. Or vice versa with Finley. I think they've both had their positives and negatives. Finley throughout the season, more positive than negatives, to be sure.
Absolutely.
I think I'll just say this. I think the emotional side of me wants to see Rigoni start. The mental, like if I was coaching side, says Finley.
Okay.
And I just hope both of them do well, no matter how many minutes they play or who starts or who comes off the bench. And I think that it would be a shock to see a change in the other 10 spots.
I agree. It would be a shock.
And you say 3-1. I'm going to say 2-1, Austin.
Okay.
In extra time.
Oh,
Yeah, I
a
think we
little
get the
comedy.
extra half hour. We get a extra time goal
Mm-hmm.
and elation and head into the second round where we can go ahead and pull up the bracket here. We will meet the winner. Again, have to advance, have to beat RSL. But if that happens, the winner of FC Dallas and Minnesota United will come to Austin and play a second round match at Q2, which will be Saturday. And that Saturday date, I believe, is the 22nd. So the
Mm-hmm.
teams that are playing Saturday that will play the one seeds, they will play next Thursday. So interesting, very quick schedule, quick turnaround for those teams going
Yeah.
Saturday to Thursday. But we're going to be Sunday to Saturday, so one less day than your normal full week off from the playoff structures that we're more used to in a knockout type of sport. 4-5 matchup. That is the matchup, of course, who will face LAFC. That's LA Galaxy and Nashville.
Oh man, imagine if we had LAFC, LA Galaxy, and then Dallas, Austin.
Oh God, that would be sick. El
Second round
Trafico
for
and
the
then
Western
Copa
Conference.
Tejas.
That'd
Yeah.
be awesome. Yeah.
And I'm sure the league would love it as well. Eastern Conference side, Philadelphia holds off a charging Montreal for the one seed and the bye out there. They will face the winner of New York Red Bulls and FC Cincinnati, the 2-7 matchup, Montreal and Orlando City, the 3-6 New York City FC and Inter Miami. And the best thing about this Eastern Conference bracket, bonus teams, FC Cincinnati and Inter Miami, both in the playoffs. So suck on that, Weeby. Uh, that's all I got to say about that. Anything else you want to add before we get out of here and look forward to Sunday? Excuse me.
I'll be watching from afar. That's for
Yep.
sure. I'm definitely super bummed to not be able to like be part of that atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be watching our guys' body language, how they come out, if we're a little tentative, because shit, man, it's gonna be rocking. There's gonna be some fucking energy in that building.
I mean,
Um,
LAFC energy, but ratcheted up even higher, right?
totally agree.
Like,
Yeah. Have fun, be safe. You know, you don't have me there to protect you, so
don't worry, I got Jose now.
security.
Well, same to you, E, my good buddy. Safe travels out there to the East Coast. Of course, blessings for young Peter
Yes.
and his new
Congratulations,
wife.
Peter and Catherine.
Yeah, and
Idiots.
we'll we'll take care of business here in Austin, so you can come back and be at the second round match next Saturday, or we'll be sitting recording the podcast next week, shedding a little tear. So I don't think that's going to happen. I really do, especially after yesterday. I thought a complete performance by the team and some factors that they couldn't control that ended it in a draw. But I felt good about that performance, and I think it's good. It's better form than we had a month ago heading into this first round match. So
Agree.
again, we appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're still with us after this hour and 20 plus minutes. Everybody else, be safe at the stadium. It's going to be a raucous crowd. I don't think we'll have too many RSL fans there, but everybody party responsibly next weekend, because it is going to be a party. If you have 5 seconds, you're listening to us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, helps the algorithm, helps us grow the channel. If you're listening to wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, etc., you got 5 seconds. Hit us with a review, hopefully 5 stars, and of course hit that subscribe button. So until next time, man, I know it's just Monday night here, but I just got a little shot of adrenaline,
Yeah,
because
I can
being
feel
able
it.
to say we'll see you guys at Q2 for the playoff match, it's finally here. So until then, everybody have a good week. We'll see you at Q2 on Sunday. And until then, vamos, Austin FC. Goodbye.
3, 2,